the Agile brand.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Agile brand, where we discuss marketing technology and customer experience trends, insights, and ideas with enterprise and technology platform leaders. We focus on the people, processes, data, and platforms that make brands successful, scalable, customer-focused, and sustainable. This is what makes an Agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advising Fortune 1000 brands on MarTech, marketing operations, and CX, best-selling author and speaker. The Agile Brand Podcast is brought to you by TechSystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that my latest book, Priority is Action: 7 Principles for Better Strategies, Decisions, and Outcomes, is now available. In it, I give ideas and insights for leaders and teams that need to make meaningful progress on their priorities. After all, our priorities are what we do, not what we say we'd like to do. You can find Priority is Action on Amazon or learn more on my website, gregkihlstrom.com. Now let's get on to the show. Today, we're excited to delve into the evolving landscape of customer service and sales with Josh Feast, CEO and co-founder of Cogito. We'll explore how AI is reshaping the roles of customer service agents and enhancing business strategies. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hi, great to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to talking about this topic with you. Why don't we get started, though, with you giving a little background on yourself and your role at Cogito?
You bet. So I'm the founder and CEO of Cogito. Cogito is a real-time AI guidance company which helps agents and supervisors in the moment at large-scale contact centers and is designed to improve experience, efficiency, and effectiveness. I was originally trained as an engineer in New Zealand. I came to the US a number of years ago to learn technology entrepreneurship. And I started Cogito because I was excited and intrigued at the idea of using AI to improve human connection. And I wanted to really develop that and take something really novel out of the lab and into the world.
That's great. We're going to talk about a few things here, but let's start by talking about the evolving role of customer service agents in businesses and a shift from service to sales. So a shift towards incorporating sales tasks from customer service agents. So, we're seeing this shift from purely service-oriented roles to more sales-focused responsibilities among customer service agents. Can you explain what's driving this shift?
Yeah, of course. At the highest level, providing human interactions to customers at large scale is an expensive endeavor. The cost of people to interact with your customers is generally by far the largest expense in many companies. And they're also very, very precious. These are like really important interactions, particularly because markets these days are just more and more competitive. So what companies want to do is they want to really ensure that they're delivering really great experiences that are going to increase the lifetime value of the customer. So they want to use every opportunity they can to look at different ways they can make additional offers that are going to both increase the size and the longevity of that customer relationship. So that's the most fundamental business reason. Yeah. The other reason is really just a pure customer experience sort of issue. Like one of the old ways that things used to be done was you'd call in to service and then you maybe get transferred to somebody, and only you had to be transferred to somebody who did sales. And so that obviously would just elongate the interactions. And so they want to improve that experience by avoiding those transfers and just getting everything done on the same interaction.
Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's improving the experience by, to your point, not having to transfer to someone to sell you something, right? It just, I mean, even just saying it doesn't sound super fun from a customer perspective.
Exactly.
But also, you're then asking customer service agents who are trained to deal with customer issues and resolve issues to now all of a sudden become salespeople. So, how are companies managing this transition, and, what kind of challenges do they face?
Yeah. So the way that they're doing it is typically like, you think of it like unifying contact centers. So the companies would have had maybe a pure sales contact center and a pure service contact center, and now they're kind of bringing them all together to this sort of unification. So the core challenges with that is, not all service agents are going to be necessarily comfortable with core sales skills like proposing offers or overcoming objections. And on the other hand, like not all salespeople are going to have the patience for service work, right? And so that's really it becomes sort of a human capital challenge. How are you going to bring these different people in these different backgrounds together and create the sort of satisfying whole? So training and guidance is really the heart of it.
Yeah, yeah. So we talk a lot about AI on this show. I think everybody talks about AI a lot everywhere, probably. But we certainly talk about it a lot, and there's a lot of different and very interesting and very valuable applications of it. I like this topic of augmenting people and their abilities using AI. I think that's a really powerful way of looking at things. So I want to look at the role of AI in empowering these customer service agents. And so can you, from your perspective, can you describe how is AI being utilized to assist, augment, empower customer service agents in enhancing sales without extensive retraining or hiring new staff altogether?
Well, I think at the outset, I think you're absolutely bang on. I mean, this application of AI, this application is one of the real effective, win-win-win use cases for AI. And we're all, there's a lot of investment in this field, and we're all searching for these applications where it just makes total sense. And I think this really is one of them. So generally speaking, what AI is going to do is it's going to help automatically identify opportunities. It's going to potentially provide scripts or ways to introduce those opportunities. And then critically, and many of these, the organizations that are deploying this AI operate in regulated industries. So it's going to ensure and track compliance with regulations and rules. Those are kind of generically what the AI is going to do. And you might say, well, why does it matter, right? But the fact is that a lot of organizations, think like a large telco, for example, the breadth of products and offers is enormous, absolutely enormous, right? Yeah. And it's changing. That product mix is changing all the time. So having an AI sort of identify the things that are going to be relevant to this particular customer, hopefully relevant to that particular customer, is doing real useful work.
Yeah. And so, your platform Cogito is one of those that's helping here. Could you talk specifically about how does your platform accomplish helping agents identify and capitalize on cross-selling, upselling opportunities in real time?
You bet. So we focus on two sort of fundamental outcomes. The first is we want to improve the relationship between the agent and the customer, and therefore by extension, the customer and the brand. And then we also want to improve the execution of the workflow. So we're looking for both dimensions. The way that we improve the relationship is that we help with the way that an agent comes across to the customer. So you want to come across, you want to be a good listener, you want to deliver the messages in a way that the customer can understand. You want to make sure that the customer recognizes that you're caring and that you're knowledgeable. So you want to come across in an assured way. All these things are embedded in the way people speak to each other. So how they speak, nonverbal signals. We also want to make sure that the agent is delivering the right messages in the moment and being aware of what's possible. So if I give a concrete example, so I was sitting at a side-by-side with an agent, probably not that long ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and it turned out at a really large telco, and it was a brand new agent. The agent was just coming out, or somewhat just coming out of their sort of initial training, so they were a new hire. And so in the course of the conversation, so the customer calls in, they're looking to make a change to their product mix, and in the course of making that change, the Cogito system will pop up and say, have you considered offering this broadband package, which was a sort of a new offer, and that would basically significantly reduce the overall cost to that customer of if they could do that bundle. And as a result of getting these nudges, not only did that agent make the offer, but they took it on themselves to go and learn more about that set of products, so that they could be more knowledgeable for the next interactions. So it's like a way to both guide in the moment and also to sort of encourage and help the agent understand where they should be focusing their attention in order to expand their own capabilities and knowledge.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting. I mean, the AI would actually empower learning on the part of the employee, and I also I like what you said about looking at this as an opportunity to build better connections. In other words, instead of, instead of replacing humans and sure, we want better financial performance and we want to upsell and cross-sell and all of those things. But if we lose touch with the customer, we're not going to get any of that. We're going to lose what we have, let alone, be able to grow. So yeah, I like that focus on, building customer relationships as well. You touched on this a little bit, but building qualities like empathy, understanding. How do you look at AI's role in really being able to enhance that?
Well, that's a great question. And this is one of the things I was so fascinated about the basic science behind Cogito, and one of the big motivators of building the company is what an amazing thing, right? You could use a computer to help with things that we think of as so incredibly human, like empathy or connection.
Right.
So what it's going to do, so that the way it works is that when we are building relationships with each other, that's something that uses our mental resources. It takes effort to read social signals and respond, and the fact is people can get tired, and they particularly get tired in a contact center environment where you're doing 30 or 40 interactions a day. Yeah. And so what the tool is doing is really helping you in those situations where you may not recognize a signal of somebody. So you may because you're tired, or you may not recognize that somebody's distressed, for example, or you may not think to respond in an appropriate way. You might jump to the next step in your workflow rather than saying, "Oh wow, I'm really sorry that happened," or "Isn't that great that you just got married," or something like that. Where you get this real opportunity to build that connection. And so what the tool will do is it'll recognize those opportunities and let you know. It'll also help you with your delivery, because people make decisions about whether they've been well served from the way they're spoken to. It'll help ensure that your pacing is correct, your level of confidence is appropriate, that you're not leaving like really long pauses after somebody speaks, which is going to be a signal that you weren't really listening, right, et cetera, et cetera. And so that sort of ability to drive that nonverbal experience we've proven makes a tremendous difference in how customers perceive the interactions.
Yeah. Do you have I know you shared a previous example. Do you have an example maybe of this where some of these real-time cues can help sales as well as customer satisfaction?
100%. So like, for example, you may, if you're speaking and your pacing is inappropriate, right? So you may be speaking way too fast for that customer. You'll get a nudge that appears on the screen which says speaking quickly, which is just to let you know that's what's going on. And maybe you'll choose to make a change, right? Another example is, let's say you would ask a question right now, and then there was this big pause, right? Distracted pause. I'll get a little nudge on the screen saying slow to respond, which reminds me to check back in with that customer. Or I might get a nudge which says that I'm going on way too much in response to this question. That would be like, it's very concrete examples. You'll also get nudges that, say this is a good moment to display empathy, nudges that show when my energy might be off, like too flat, for example, for what's appropriate. And so then these nudges combine as well, to help, with that sale, because a tool like Cogito's will continuously track the customer's experience on the call in true real time. So you can also look for the right moments. It's one, when somebody calls in with a really complex issue, they're going to want that issue addressed before they're going to be like receptive to, thinking about some other option that that you may want to offer them. So helping understand those things is what the tool supports.
Yeah. Wow. I don't do as much sales as I used to, but man, I wish I would have had this about 10 years ago. Probably would have saved me a little bit of heartache at the very least. Digital marketers, this one's for you. I've got 30 seconds to tell you about Wix Studio, the web platform for agencies and enterprises. So here are a few things you can do in 30 seconds or less when you manage projects on Wix Studio. Work in sync with your team on one canvas. Reuse templates, widgets, and sections across sites, create a client kit for seamless handovers, and leverage best-in-class SEO defaults across all your Wix sites. Time's up, but the list keeps going. Step into Wix Studio to see more. speaking of performance and making the sale and all that stuff, I want to talk a little bit about the impact on business performance. I mean, some of this is about increasing and maintaining customer satisfaction. The other is, when you're integrating sales into service, certainly we want to see some impacts on business performance. So, what have been some observed benefits from businesses that have integrated some AI tools like Cogito's?
Yeah. So one of the things that's I think we're super proud with about, and I mentioned how this is sort of like a win-win-win type of application, is you're driving two things with a solution like this. You're going to get consistent behavior across a really large population of agents, and you get rapid behavior change. And so one of the cool things about that is that generally speaking, all your KPIs improve because people are just performing better, right? They're working in partnership with the AI, the output is better. And so you generally see a lift across sort of the breadth of outcomes that you're looking for. So that would include, you'll see improvements in your post-call satisfaction surveys or NPS, which you expect will lead to greater customer longevity and lifetime value. You're going to be pitching more and better, so you're going to get more sales, particularly in for product offers that that are important for the business in the moment. You're going to get that. You will also get actually shorter interactions, interestingly enough, because people are getting their stuff solved faster and more effectively, right? And and so that is also really important to see above for the cost of some of these interactions. Yeah. So those are the real big ones. The other one that we also like is what we call speed to proficiency. So a large scale contact center environment, as you well know, has a lot of can have quite a lot of agent turnover. People join, they realize that's not the job for them, and so there's sort of this consistent sort of turnover that happens. And so getting new agents up to speed as fast as possible is a key element of the success of an operation. And we will generally see that a new agent will get up to speed many weeks faster if they're using this type of tool.
Yeah. Well, and along those lines, I mean, definitely there's, and rightfully so, a lot of focus on the customer. But to what you were just saying, as far as getting new agents up to speed, what about the turnover rates themselves or job satisfaction? You mentioned the anecdote as far as the person that they learned something from the AI and then took it a step further to educate themselves further. It seems like there's opportunity, at least for those that are, let's say intrinsically motivated to learn and grow. Has there been an observed impact on, job satisfaction among the agents using AI?
It's an excellent question. So a couple of years ago, Cogito made a concerted effort to expand our focus from sort of a customer experience focus to a customer and employee experience focus, or agent experience focus. So as well as continuously measuring the experience the customer's having during and after every call, we continuously measure the experience the agent is having during and after every call. And why do you do that? And that because you're sort of, the metaphor is a battery, right? You're trying to maintain the charge in the battery of the agent to make sure that they're, not getting exhausted by what's going on. And this can be sort of a sort of an emotional exhaustion. We call it compassion fatigue in the industry. And so what that allows you to do is then, provide appropriate breaks and sort of get ahead of something before somebody decides this is going to be too challenging for me and I want to, choose a different option. So that's been working fantastically well and sort of providing that level of insight. The other big thing we've seen, and this has happened particularly since the start of last year, so when, AI really hit the zeitgeist, is the interest in people to partner with AI has really, really increased. And I think that's because people are curious about it. They also recognize that a lot of the future of work is going to be human plus AI when the use case makes sense. And so they want to kind of get involved and be proficient and understand what the big deal is all about. So we're seeing like a lot of that, particularly in the last 18 months, even more than we used to see in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I think and that's just smart to try to be ahead of the curve. I mean, if someone what is it? Someone said, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you'll be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI.
Exactly right.
So yeah, so being on that curve, and I think that might have started maybe higher up in the org with those following trends and all that, but it sounds like it's either trickling down or just becoming more broad awareness. And that kind of brings me to the last topic I wanted to talk through, is just kind of looking ahead and some of the future trends that you're seeing. What are you saying? What comes next here as far as incorporating AI within customer service and this service to sales kind of combo?
I think most people in the industry, and I would fall into this bucket, sees a future where we have continuously improved self-service capabilities and continuously enhanced agent or human capabilities. And I think that the investment in both arms is going to continue because both of them make sense. There's cases where you want a self-service. There's cases when you need to interact with a human who has a model of the world and knows what's going on, can empathize, can sell effectively. But AI can happily enhance both. And this is such a huge part of what enterprises do, is interact with customers, that it's going to, I think, for a very long time be sort of the forefront of AI investment, which I think it is today.
Yeah. And so for those companies, people listening out there that, they aren't doing this yet, but not only see the trends and read the trades, so to speak, but, listening here and wanting to do this, what are some key considerations that they should take into account to, either get started here or just to ensure success as they're transitioning here?
Yeah, so on one hand, there's sort of two elements of it. There's sort of like what you should do to succeed, and then what you should, rightly ask for, right?
Yeah,
Those are really the two categories, right? So I think what you should do to succeed. So what I've seen over the years is that the customer's leadership matters. So the leadership, the operational leadership of the contact center, their buy-in, their enthusiasm, their willingness to be a sort of a top-down champion can make a big difference, because these can be significant moments of change for an organization. So that leadership is important.
Yeah.
As well as that, you really need to roll out the solution such that ideally all the roles within that operation are getting value. So, for example, at Cogito, we make sure that we're providing real-time guidance to agents, but we also provide real-time guidance to supervisors. We provide, efficiencies to quality assurance. We provide reports to management. And that's very deliberate, because we just learned that if everybody has a stake and everybody's getting value, then the tool is more likely to be adopted effectively as fast as possible. So I think that's one critical element.
Yeah.
The second is, I think, what you should rightly ask for, right? And I think it's very, very reasonable for organizations to expect that they can measure the improvement in hard dollars, right? When we provide guidance and be able to attribute that improvement to the specific tool that they're rolling out. One of the things about contact centers is all the things are changing all the time. It's like it's a very organic environment. Things are always moving. And so sometimes people look at that as an excuse. Well, the numbers went up, but I don't know if it was because of this, that, or that initiative. At Cogito, we are able to know that we've guided somebody. We're able to detect that they've taken advantage of the guidance. So we're always able to map the specific impact of our guidance to the movement in a KPI and say, it was due to this, right? And I think that's a standard that all technology should be held to. We've got some smart people that can build AI. They should be able to figure out how to prove that it works.
Yeah, that's great. Well, one last question before we wrap up here. You've given a lot of great insights and ideas already, but what's a key takeaway that you would want listeners to remember about this role of AI in transforming customer service into a revenue generating function?
I think the big one is I would love people to just go, woohoo, here's like a real effective win-win-win use case for AI, right? Because again, lots of investment out there. Some of it can be very abstract. Like this is great for customers because more efficient, more effective interactions. You're getting more out of those calls. It's much better for agents. It's much better for the organizations. Saves effort and improves success all around. So I think that's probably, the number one. And then I think that the second one is just the fact that it's cool that it's possible, right? AI can help us with things that we think of as uniquely human, like the ability to, to interact successfully with each other, to empathize appropriately. And I think that's just a really cool thing.
Yeah, I love both of those. I always try to look for the win-win as well. So I love that. Well, again, I'd like to thank Josh Feast, CEO and co-founder of Cogito, for joining us today. And you can learn more about Josh and Cogito by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to The Agile Brand, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkihlstrom.com. That's GregKihlstrom.com. While you're there, check out my series of best-selling Agile brand guides covering a wide variety of marketing technology topics, or you can search for Greg Kihlstrom on Amazon. The Agile Brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.
The Agile Brand.
Hi, I'm Mark Slayton, the host of the Delighted Customers podcast and the creator of the Trusted Guide Roadmap. The number one challenge of any change leader is getting executive buy-in. Without it, CX practices are destined to fail. You know the frustration when you don't have the support that you need. That's why I developed the Trusted Guide Roadmap Masterclass. It's unique because it's live, interpersonal, hands-on, and we give you proven frameworks, tools, calculators, and other resources to empower you to effectively lead change. To learn more, visit empoweredcx.com. Enrollment is now open for this quarter's masterclass starting October 16th. Don't miss your chance to join us.